Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV's Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls. I'm Sara Jane, your hostess, and I am delighted to be joined for this program by Sara Jane. Sarah, thank you for joining us for this.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for inviting me to be on your show. I'm really going to enjoy having a chat with you this evening.
And that chat, what we are going to be sharing is creating new Earth. And I think there's an awful lot of people out there that sort of very much are thinking about this type of thing. Some people are thinking, yes, that we know some of the things that we can do. Other people are thinking, where the heck do we start? And so hopefully we can sort of just bring in a few bits, because it's only about a half-hour conversation, so that sort of the folks that watch it and listen to us can get a little bit of a sense of maybe a way to move forward. Because I don't know about you, Sarah, but the more energies that step into a new way of doing things, a new way of being, and empowering ourselves and each other, the faster this will actually happen for everybody.
Yeah, I think so. And my sense is that things are kind of speeding up as we go because we're having all these new energies and vibrations coming in. We have the solar flares, that are shifting things in us and bringing perhaps old conditioning, old patterns that have been locked in us to the surface so that we can start to see these things. And it's ultimately through that healing and through the journey of looking for other ways of being, which for me is very much about that reconnecting with nature, because that's one of the things that we've kind of come out of balance with is we've lived in a very sort of technical world that's quite insulated in a way from Mother Earth. So for me, that's a big part of the journey, that reconnection with ourselves, on an intimate level of, what is in us, and who are we really? And also that reconnection with nature as an aspect of that as well.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I suppose I love being out in nature. Don't get me wrong. Technology is brilliant. We couldn't be doing this program with you in Portugal, I'm in England, so people can listen to this all over the world. And we couldn't be doing that without the technology that we have today. But it is that having that balance between what the technologies of today enable us to do, and what being in nature enables us to be in the way of health and wellness. And yes, because we require the clean air to breathe, the clean and clear water to drink, the natural foods to eat to keep us healthy.
Yeah, and that's been very much our journey as a family. And it was actually what inspired us to move to Portugal. We had quite a calling for a long time to live the good life, My partner's actually, he's a gardener, and he was managing very large private estates in England. And we were wanting to move somewhere where we could afford to have our own large piece of land. So that's very much been our journey. And so we're sort of in the throes at the moment of putting up solar panels on our house, building chicken houses, digging boreholes so that we can pump our own natural water. We've got we've had it done. We're not pumping it yet, but it's kind of like a spring under there. There's a lot of really beautiful water. And another part for me, I mean, this sustainability was a big part of it for us, of why we wanted to move here. But I actually, got a real divine calling that it was about, I think during this time, there's so much going on in the world that it's a sense of there's no right place to navigate this because it's a global thing, but a sense of, where we're drawn to. was very important. And for us, it was a sense of, really being drawn to this area of Portugal where we had access to this beautiful land, but also finding our tribe. And in this area of Portugal, we've got, beautiful community of people who are very much on the same journey, looking to support each other. And, we're just starting between us a community larder so that we have our own food supplies, that we can share things from the garden, but we also have like whole foods, dry foods, meat, and different products that we actually trade within the community and buy within the community. So that's kind of another aspect of that as well.
Yeah, and it's keeping, where you can, things local. Now, obviously, depending on the climate you're living in, as to what you can do, but we always survived. It may have been more of a struggle during the winter months. And now that we have the technology and things like fridges and freezers, we can do so much more than we were ever able to do, when we did have to rely on the land. But they did that. They were able to create a way of storing so that but yes, I'm sure as it came round to spring and they started getting the fresh fruits and veg again, it was really great. But, you manage with what you've got. And that's part and parcel of this. It's for me, I suppose, I think about starting with myself. It's my energies, my attitudes. What am I prepared to be a part of?
Yes.
How am I prepared to adjust? It's not necessarily change, adjust. I think it's using the words that don't make it sound so difficult.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I think, I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been Gandhi, but don't quote me, be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. And that's very much my motto. I'm an energy medicine practitioner, and I've been working with energy medicine for nearly 20 years now. So that's always the way I approach things. It's like shifting that internally. So, a big part of the process that we're going through energetically at this time is integrating the masculine and feminine. Because we've lived in such a patriarchal world for so many years. And I think the masculine and feminine has probably been out of balance for at least a couple of 100 years. And it feels like there's an opportunity with this connecting with Mother Earth as being an aspect of that, because we've always had the Christ energy, which is much more masculine. This awareness of the divine feminine and starting to integrate that, because we have both in our body. We have the masculine, which is more left-brained and in the right side of our body, and the feminine, which is in the right brain and left side of the body. It's about becoming whole-brained, so it's truly holistic, because we're integrating the masculine and the feminine, but it's the more divine aspects and expression of those things. In a way, because we've lived in this very patriarchal world, it's also, whilst we do have those keys and codes in our DNA because they have existed in the past, it's like reawakening that and remembering and almost like rediscovering those aspects of ourselves.
But it's also helping the men to get that balance of the masculine and the feminine within them. We all require that balance because they've been pushed hard. Big boys don't cry, etc., etc.
Yes.
They haven't been allowed to talk about things, and that is really being pushed to the fore. That it's about helping men to be more open.
Yeah, and there's so many different expressions of masculine and feminine. Like, one that's coming to mind at the moment is the relationship between order or regiment or something like that and chaos. Now the chaos is much more feminine, and again, that we've been taught chaos is not a good thing, but actually if we have everything planned, that's not living. It's we need to be able to have both. We need to have certain plans, but if plans change, to re-navigate, which is much more watery, it's much more feminine. So it's sort of like a continuum that we exist on in life, that we need to move between these different aspects as human beings, embracing these different things and not polarizing. It's like, oh, chaos, that's not good, order is good, kind of thing.
But I think you have to look at sort of, sometimes you can get something that seems to really throw your world apart, sort of bring everything crashing down, whatever. But then when you really look at it, and I think it was Neil Donald Walsh that said, perhaps when everything is falling apart, it is actually falling together.
Yeah.
And it is so true. I've had things happen in my life, but boy, what's come out at the end has been way better than I left behind. And we've got a lot of stuff going on in this world, and it is giving us, I think it's giving us this amazing opening. It's challenging us to say, we would like change, and we're not looking to our governments or anybody else to help us create this change.
Yes.
It's for us, the people.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's really, really, really important point. And, there's so many things that are going on. Like a friend of mine is involved in the People's Health Alliance. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's just being set up. It's a lot in the UK, but it's an international thing where the people are saying, okay, we don't, the NHS is having some issues. So we are going to set up emergency care. We're going to find a premises. We're going to find a collective of medical people and holistic people, and just find our own system. So that's very new earth. And, what I would like to say is, because you were talking about, difficulties and things like that. I think it was the Neil Donald Walsh thing of, when things fall apart, things fall together. For me, that is the key word is hope. It's like, because it is full on, it is scary. We're being bombarded by all these energies. We've got, a lot in the media, fear, a lot of stuff, with war, pandemics, this kind of thing. And it's really bringing in that hope that actually this could be a really incredible, beyond our wildest kind of imaginings of what we could dream up, because we're if you think of war times in the past, when communities come together, and it can really bring out the good in people and the creativity and so for me, that's actually a really exciting journey when we, can stand strong in ourselves and be empowered and come into our own sovereignty in that way.
But it's also disasters, because there was the Boxing Day tsunami some years ago, and I didn't actually hear about it for 4 days because I hadn't got a television. So it wasn't a matter of not listening to the news. I just hadn't got any means of getting the information. And I eventually did hear about it. But I remember sort of hearing that everybody in the world, that it was, what could they do to help? And so any form of disaster, it doesn't have to just be war, but any form of disaster can be absolutely amazing for how it brings people together.
Yeah. So I had a real calling, at first of all, the journey to Portugal. And then I was getting callings from the divine that I needed to set up, because I work with energy healing, that I needed to set up a group called Creating New Earth. And I was kind of like, yeah, but I'll do it next month. And I kept putting it off. And then I really kind of heard this almost stern voice. No, you can't do it when you're ready. You have to do it now, because the new earth, this is what's so interesting about it, is the new earth is here now. It's growing. There's that opportunity for the new earth rising, but we all feel kind of so unprepared for it, that it takes work to set yourself up self-sufficiently, to do all these different things, even to build a whole health system, your own health, kind of a journey. So I was busily trying to do all those practical things and work with my clients. So anyways, I thought, okay, I'm going to listen. I'm just going to do it. And it's been absolutely incredible. I'm just so delighted that I did it. It's just drawn together the most extraordinary people, just really, really beautiful. At the moment, women, which is very interesting because I think the Indigenous people talk about the women will save the earth or create the new earth.
Yeah.
So it's brought in, most of the women in the group are healers or light workers of different sorts. So we've got energy workers, we've got earth healers, we've got cranial osteopath, soul, like journeying, astrologers. We've got basically, I'm sure I'm forgetting people. Oh, that's right, flower essences and medicine women. And what's been really beautiful is that we've set the intention around this creating new earth. And, it's been really wonderful what's arising because we're women who are setting an intention, working together in collaboration, which is the key to New Earth. It's working not in an isolated way, but in a collaborative way. It's been very, very powerful, just what we've been shifting and what we've been working with and what we've been drawing towards us with intention. So I'm just really delighted that I didn't put it off any longer.
I think it is. I mean, for all of us, when we sort of get this sense of it's, and because we don't know what lives we're actually meant to touch with these things. And so, yeah, and absolutely. And it is, you said, it's about the group. It's what can we create together? Because it isn't about an individual. There may be an individual that starts something, as I did sort of September 2014, starting Gift of Healing TV. For me, it was never about me. It still is never about me. It is about what information can we bring, what people can we connect, what information can people find out, so that we're all in that right space to support ourselves forward in a much more holistic life. And
Yeah.
a life, and it's a life rather than an existence.
Well, I think that's part of the journeying that I'm realizing in the group. It was on Monday that it's once a month. The group, it's the last Monday of every month, and we had it this Monday, and we were clearing a lot of old. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought a little bit. What were you just saying before then? It happens, doesn't it?
but don't worry about it, because it is very much about us healing, and we have to realize we can only heal ourselves. However, you use the word healer quite a bit. I would never refer to myself as a healer.
No.
I'm an empowerer, I suppose. I'm a tool, I'm an instrument that supports people, because I genuinely believe people have to heal themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And that's very much where I'm coming from.
Yes.
It's working with that innate healing intelligence that we all have in us, and empowering others to access that as well. So in that sense, we're all healers. That's the position that I come from.
we're healers of ourselves, and we can support others to heal themselves. But this is what it is all about. It is, there are an awful lot of us out there, you and I included, that support others on their healing journey. We're still going through our own healing journey.
Absolutely.
But we're through ours, that our experiences can support others.
Yes.
And there are so many beautiful people out there. Now, there's obviously people like yourself with your creating New Earth that you're doing, and I've heard of other people, and I'm going to hear a lot more about this, I'm sure, because when something new comes out, you think it's the only one, and then suddenly you're bombarded by it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. At the moment, I think it is quite unique. I'm not aware of anyone else that's doing something similar, because when we actually work, it's not, because I'm trying to hold it very lightly. So rather than me standing up the front and teaching, which is the old model, I'm, inviting everyone to share their wisdom. And when we actually do the healing session, I will get guided to draw in. Obviously it needs someone to hold the energy, because otherwise it would just be kind of too chaotic. But I invite other people. So I might get drawn to a cranial osteopath who will be working with the nervous system. And then we might get drawn to, like on Monday, we worked with the clearing from within us, the collective inherited pattern of original sin, which was affecting us all, and really updating that so that we could come to a different understanding, because these are all things that kind of stand in between us and new earth that we want to create, which really is the Garden of Eden.
Oh, and absolutely. And you actually mentioned the word earlier of dream, and it is about what can we dream into being, but actually your thoughts have energies. You speak those thoughts and create words, and those words are even stronger. Mm-hmm. And those words, you take that action to make those words happen, and suddenly that dream becomes a reality.
Absolutely. And that's very much what we're working with is what can we dream into reality? Because I think that because we have had these conditionings that have limited us and kept us really quite small, I think we all just don't realize how big we can dream and just what is possible. I was talking with someone earlier today who kind of runs some training courses where she works with children quite a lot, and it's quite incredible. They can get the children to read with blindfolds on and all sorts of things. And she said it's harder for adults, and I said, don't say it. I don't want to hear that. Because this is the thing. As soon as that's put out there as a thought form, as soon as we buy into it, then we can't do it.
Oh, absolutely. No. I sort of had a friend on the phone today, and bless her, I get phone calls from her every now and again. Sarah, help! But it's clearing that negative feeling about yourself. We are amazing beings.
Absolutely.
We have so much inside of us, our capabilities, but what we've got to realize is we are all here with different capabilities. We are not here to, every single one of us, be a top surgeon, a top architect, a top this and a top that and a top other. No. We're not all here to do that. But we are, because think of a mechanism, a clockwork mechanism. It requires every single cog to work perfectly.
More circular, rather than the up down, it's the more circular society that values each individual voice. And that's what's so beautiful about this group, is that we do, I've mentioned that we do have some very powerful women who work with energy and have incredible tools. We've also got, women that have the courage to come to this group, and they say, I'm actually just really looking for my path, or I want support. And they are totally valuable in the group as well. Everybody is valued. So they don't really necessarily know why they're there, but I just totally trust everyone that's meant to be there has, is going to be coming into something that's so incredibly valuable for them, even if they don't really know what that is. And it might be, that at the moment we've only run 2 so far, and we have drawn more on the energy workers in the group, or healers, or whatever you'd like to call them. So but it may be that we will have a topic where we'll need to really work with, I know we've got teachers in the group, for example, that will need to bring in their understanding of children, because or something, or I know we've got animal communicators, but it's kind of like other levels to it that we could start to integrate and value those different qualities, you know, and bring that into it, into what we're healing as well.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm well out of a knowledge of what's going on in education these days, because I don't have children, and not having had children, I don't have grandchildren, so I have no idea what's going on in schools per se. But I get a sense that things are changing. But when I was at school, we were all taught the same, regardless of our abilities.
Yes.
What might be your strength, one subject, absolutely useless another. And I was always useless at languages because I could never cope with the way they were taught.
Yes.
And it's understanding
Well,
that we
yeah,
learn differently.
because, part of the new earth that's rising up is that people have been disillusioned with the educational system and what's happening, and just simple things like they don't, during the pandemic they didn't really feel comfortable with their children having to wear a mask, for health reasons or whatever. So a lot of people have been looking outside of the systems, and there are lots of alternative projects that are forming up. Certainly here in Portugal, there's a lot of these, and a lot of children that are being homeschooled as well. And some of these projects are much more democratic in their approach, which again is that, working with the child to help them find their voice and help them, find their way, and the subjects that they relate to. And we've had a very Victorian model of kind of rote learning, of information being jammed into us, that we don't have that kind of journey. So this is a more new earth approach, this kind of democratic, alternative, child-led approach.
Creative. It's about creativity. It is about bringing that element, that joy. It doesn't matter what it looks like, because most of the best things come from a creative mind. And that creativity is squashed out of so many children because you have to learn by rote. You've got to learn this about history, geography, etc., etc. And it's just like,
Well, it's that integration of the masculine and feminine again, because the creativity is much more right-brained, feminine, whereas the logical, analytical is much more masculine. So it's even the structure of education has been more masculine. So actually we need both, because what can happen is that we tend to swing the other way. And, there's obviously a lot of wisdom and, in the masculine, but it just needs to come into a healthier expression. So it's that divine masculine rather than the kind of power over controlling. So then the feminine female is having to submit, and everything becomes a bit out of balance because there's not that divine masculine and feminine union, which is so powerful.
I think it's the creativity. It's also the encouraging children to think. In other words, when you're teaching something like history, it's getting them to think about it, because we've had some horrendous things that have happened in history in many different countries around the world. And I don't want to even touch on any single one of them. But
Yes.
if children were encouraged to talk about these things, to think about these things, was this really right? And encouraged to learn history that way and be able to, because I think we've been very good time and time again. We do not learn from history. We do not learn from our mistakes because we think we know better, because, but that was 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. We'll do better this time, but we're going to do the same thing. And
it's that ego, I think that's a big part of the journey, when you said about doing better. I mean, a part of this journey into new earth, I'd like to call it thy will, not my will. It's that surrendering that, did we choose to move to Portugal? I'm not sure. I think I was very much guided here, and even this work, it's not necessarily like I think my ego was no. So it's kind of like, but actually when we flow with this, then it's actually a much more beautiful place to operate from.
Oh, it absolutely is. I suppose, because over a number of years, having given up working in the system and sort of going self-employed, goodness knows how I've survived, but I have. I mean, it's one, and so I've survived because I'm meant to have. It's because that is what I am. I am doing what I am meant to be doing.
Yeah, and when we have that trust, because I know the journey, of becoming a practitioner, it's often leaving another job and moving into a place where perhaps we don't have clients for a while and thinking, goodness, how are we going to get the income? And it's just really putting yourself into that place of trust and just following path in life. And that's what it really takes, is that kind of letting go of those things that, keep us held up. It's as soon as we do that we're held by the universe then.
Oh, it is just trusting that. And they talk about sort of, if you make a vacuum, otherwise you let go of something that is really not serving its purpose anymore for you, has done what it needs to, let go of it. The universe abhors a vacuum. Allow the universe to fill it for you.
That's beautiful.
And it's not about, oh, or so if somebody else has finished something and that you're left with that space, stop knocking at that closed door, turn around, there's one opening for you. That vacuum is not going to be there for long.
Absolutely. And the vacuum has a place as well. I mean, that's another aspect of the old earth. It was to fill, do, fill every minute, and that's masculine. We need the space, we need the emptiness, that's the integration again. Obviously, when if we just sat there and did nothing, well, that could be incredibly valuable, because of the imbalance at the moment, that actually probably most of us, that's what we would benefit from. But it's actually in the long term, we need to, we're not necessarily the whole world's going to become monks and, just do nothing. We need to be able to grow food and have action, but also rest.
Yeah. And it's time to draw it to a close, but I think a couple of very simple things that people could do just to start, if you like, connecting with themselves, giving them space, me time. I love to go for a daily walk in the local woods. That is my break in the middle of the day. Just go out and be able to be in that pure fresh air in the woods.
And to see the miracles. And to see the miracles as well. Yeah. In every moment, really.
And, listening to the bird song or the wind in the leaves, it's whatever it is, even if it's tipping it down with rain, then you've got the drops of rain through the leaves. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not a fair weather walker. But find yourself something little. But I've been actually walking at lunchtime for years. When I was in an office, I would go out in the lunch break. It was very rare I didn't. It was give myself a break away from the computer, from work.
Absolutely. It's so important. And again, it's that balance, isn't it? So I'm really interested to hear, what people's feelings are around, New Earth, and if they have any thoughts, from the conversation we have. I really invite people to get in contact with me because, this is a discovering process. So I'm really happy to hear from people, to chat with people, to welcome people into the group as well. And, so I believe you're going to put my website, Sarah, under the video. So please do connect with me, because I really would like to connect with you all and, see what we can discover and unfold together.
Oh, absolutely. I've put both your personal website and the link to the Creating New Earth up in the chat, and I will make sure that both of those are under the video on YouTube. So sort of please look at the information underneath, connect with Sarah. And if you want to connect with me because there's something that I've said that resonates, that's brilliant. my information will be there.
Absolutely.
Information is all there. So please connect with us. We share these programs so that you have information, and that you can make a judgment for yourself, and hopefully you will find something that resonates with you, that supports you on the journey that you're on. That's what it's about for me. Any final comment you'd like to make before we?
Yeah, I'd actually just like to let people know that I work with groups, as I've mentioned, Creating a New Earth. I also work with individuals, private sessions. So please do get in contact if you're having any issues that you'd like to work with me at the moment. I'm also starting up another group in September around clearing the ancestral lines, which is also going to be incredibly powerful. So if anyone's finding this, in a year or two's time, then just please do get in contact and see what I'm doing, at a later date, because there'll probably be some new projects on the go, and it's always lovely to hear from you.
Lovely. Thank you so much indeed, Sarah, for joining us tonight. It's been brilliant.
I've just loved it. It's been so wonderful to chat with you. And this is the beauty of this work as well, is it's actually, when we move past the fear around what's happening, it's actually just, it's very exciting, and very joyful time to be alive.
Oh, absolutely. I know I've connected with so many amazing people all around the world. It's brilliant. And Sarah and I have actually met many years ago.
And more recently, a couple
yes, and more recently, yes.
Yes, because you came on the self-care class that I was running. I was in 2020, and I think you had a big shift on it, didn't you? The self-care, yeah.
So absolutely brilliant. So some people I actually do get to meet in person. Other people are stuff by technology. Thank you, Sarah. Next week, I've got another thoughtful nuggets and pearls. It's just going to be my thoughts this time. Taking things to heart, because I had a light bulb moment about this only a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to share my thoughts on what came to me. I hope you'll join me for that. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and just so lovely to connect with everyone. Take care then.
Take care, folks. See you soon. Bye. Bye.
Bye.